lot of times I want to do a mini lesson or have my students kind of watch me demonstrate something, but I don't want them to have the notes just yet. But I do want them to have the notes to review when they're practicing it independent. So, what you can do is you're able to set up your template. And then, what I would highly, highly suggest is that you would assign this to your Google Classroom or your learning management system. So I'm going to go ahead and assign this to Google Classroom. You might use Schoology, Canvas, Microsoft Teams, and you could do the same thing. So I'm going to go in here, assign it to my class, and I'm going to call this Notes. And I'm going to make a copy for every single student because I want them to have their own notes. And again, throughout the lesson, I want them to add to the notes to help them with their learning and to retrieve their learning as well. So once that posts, what my students are going to do is I'm going to have them go ahead and open up their notes on their screen. So my students are going to go to their Google Classroom, they're going to open up those notes, and they'll be able to take notes on that assignment. And as the teacher, I'm going to come in and I am also going to open up that same document, but I'm going to show you a different way so that you're going to open it up. And you're going to open this up on your interactive whiteboard. Okay, so now that my student has theirs opened up, I'm going to open up the teacher version. All of them have been assigned that note sheet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Class View just to make sure they all got it. Class View allows you to see everybody's screen. So if I wanted to make sure that they were taking notes or answering something, I could come in and see that this student right here drew this little dot. But what I'm going to do to take my notes is click on Update Work. So again, this will be my individual view to see what my students are doing. But then I can come here to Update Work, and I'm able to come in, and maybe I'm teaching about fractions. And so I could come in and create a math problem using my board. And as I'm demonstrating this to students, I can say, okay, the first step, guys, is we have to look at our denominator. Is it the same or is it different? And hopefully they'll say it's the same, right? I can then hit Publish Changes, Publish, and my students are going to get those notes to their note. So as I'm working in real time, as I'm going over this concept in real time, they're getting these notes to their paper. They can then use their board and say, okay, 4 and 4, and I will be able to see if some students add that or if some students keep the denominator. And I'm able to quickly look over and see what my students are thinking. And as I'm kind of prompting them, as I'm showing them the steps to these notes, I can then come in and say, okay, we keep the denominator, publish those changes, publish, and as I'm making changes, my students will get those in real time. And so then this student will say, oh, I solved that wrong. Maybe they use a different color. They could come in and erase their work. And then they can say, okay, that should have been 4. Okay. So again, I'm able to come in here and then I can go over that next step. 3 plus 2. Okay, what's 3 plus 2, right? And then hopefully that student will say 6, right? And not keep those. And then, I can again publish those changes as I'm doing this. Maybe I want them to then try in real time. I can give them an example over here, publish the changes, the students work on those examples. I can go around the room looking at what my students are doing. And again, these notes are popping up live for them to maybe fill in the blank or for my students to see what's happening in the classroom. Just make sure that you assign it first in Google Classroom and then you're using Update Work to make those changes in real time.